So the next guy that we're going to discuss here is Aaron Rodgers. I know Adam has strong feelings for Aaron Rodgers. So, Adam, let's go ahead and kick off the Aaron Rodgers discussion.
So we brought this up last week, and I had him as a trade-away target, or at least I think it was just a trending down guy. But I feel even more strongly, I don't know if that's actually correct verbiage either, but I feel stronger about that statement now. I mean, I think coming off of a 5-6 total touchdown game against Oakland, even watching the game, it almost just felt like an aberration. It felt like, to me, I'm not saying he's not going to have these huge games, but I just think still his value right now is at its absolute peak. You know, he's got all this MVP buzz. If you have anybody that's a viable option, like I mentioned last week, a Matt Stafford, or there's lots of guys in that category, the Dak Prescotts.
Kirk Cousins.
Yes, Kirk Cousins. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are out there that are QB2s, basically, in our fantasy leagues that I would definitely, if you have anybody that's a startable option that's not just a streamed quarterback, I would definitely look to get rid of Aaron Rodgers and get the most value you can.
So he's currently the number 7 quarterback on the year after having a 50-point game. Well, close to 50 points, whatever it was. To me, that says that he's really not returning the value that you expected from him because, you know, in a startup draft, I don't know, he was probably drafted around the 5 to 7 quarterback, and this is after coming off of a huge game where some quarterbacks have already had their bye weeks. So I agree. I think he's a sell, and if you can do it right now, this is probably the highest his value is going to be for the remainder of his career.
Right.
Well,
and here's another point too. Now that you bring that up, you know, a lot of times when we watch these games, and obviously we're looking at it on a fantasy standpoint, we don't care. We care how they score. They don't care how they score.
Right.
And I think they have at least 2 touchdowns inside the 5-yard line. And those could have easily been Aaron Jones runs into the end zone that changes his score completely. So I think we saw the Aaron Rodgers of old as far as they're going to put the ball in his hands, whether they're at the 1-yard line, the 10-yard line, it doesn't matter. So I just don't think that that's going to be the continued trend moving forward. And that's why I basically say that we just do not see that reliance upon him like we used to.
I agree. I think, to your point, if you have another quarterback that you're comfortable starting and you can turn Rodgers for something, get a different player that, you know, perhaps a tight end or something that, you know, you've had another one get hurt or whatever, I would for sure, you know, move him. But if you can't, you know, I would probably hold on to him. I mean, you're obviously not going to cut him or drop him, but I guess the upside that I see is he's with a new coach. We're just kind of seeing what they're doing now. They've got a good defense. You know, now the offense seems to be producing a little bit more. They kind of relied on the defense the first 6 weeks, right?
Yeah,
and then, or 5 weeks. And the last couple, they've kind of come out of their shell a little bit on offense. But, you know, he's got his wide receivers getting hurt and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see how it progresses moving forward. And if the coach gives him the green light on throwing the ball more, feeling comfortable with that in this new system, he's still very talented. So, you know, I don't think you're making a mistake if you hold on to him, especially if you can't get much for him.
Yeah, I feel like he may be a really good option in the trade away if you're rebuilding, and maybe try to get a hold of if you think you can win this year.
Sure, right.
He may be one of those type of players.
Well, and so I knew I'd looked at this before, but I went and looked at their schedule. And like I said, I'm talking more on the dynasty aspect. Mm-hmm. I just think this further proves my point that right now I just feel like he's going to be at what the peak he's going to be at. In the next 7 weeks, he plays 4 top 10 defenses that are against the opposing quarterbacks. So I think, you know, give him a few bad weeks, and I just feel like you're losing out on the value that you could have had. So I just kind of wanted to make sure and point that out, that he's got a really tough schedule moving forward.
Well, yeah, and so what you're saying basically is this is his highest value.
Yes, that's what I mean. Sell him now.
And I agree with that, because he's not going to have another. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns, right? 1 rushing, 5 throwing. So he's not going to do that again this year.
Yeah, and of course he did it the week where all of his wide receivers were hurt.
Right,
you know?
Right. Well, and it's against the 30th ranked defense against opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he's going to do that, and not that he shouldn't or should do that, but obviously he took advantage of a very plus matchup.
Right.
So.
Right.